Welcome back to Freedom to Learn podcast. My name is Guru Yeleswarapu, founder and CEO of Siliconvalley4u. And please subscribe to our channel and press on the like button. You'll get a lot of content your way. So today we have a friend of mine and very, very accomplished, very exciting individual as a guest. So I can go on for 10 minutes just talking about him. So Sanjiv Goyal is a Hollywood movie producer, author, entrepreneur, and futurist with a master's degree from IIT Delhi. So he's renowned for his ability to merge advanced technology with storytelling. And by the way, I do speak to other folks that are into storytelling. That's the name of the game. So Sanjeev enriches his film production approach with insights from his work as a futurist and author. And also he has a YouTube series and radio show, Confessions of Futurist, which has garnered an impressive following, millions of people, up to 3 million views. He's a lifetime digital fellow of the Indian IIT Council. And I know I meet him at some of these IIT meetups. So he can combine the deep technical ability with the storytelling. It's a perfect marriage of Hollywood and Silicon Valley. So, I mean, those are the biggest drivers of economy in the world today. And hopefully he'll add Bollywood very soon. Without any further ado, I would like to welcome Sanjeev. Welcome to our channel.
Thank you so much, Guru. I'm so looking forward, and hopefully I'll add value to your listeners.
Absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind you would. And so let's first start us, right? Just talk about your beginnings in India, and just like most of us, what motivated for you to come to US, how you built this, the empire of businesses, and also how you got into entrepreneurship to begin with, and then what made you to be entrepreneur as opposed to work for some corporate. Just talk about that, and I think that itself add a lot of value to a bunch of youngsters looking at it.
Well, Guru, my journey is no different than all of us. Maybe a little adventurous than some of you. I left India in 1996 as soon as I graduated from IIT with literally, I think I had $300 in my pocket. And I went to Singapore without a job, without anything. And those were, I will say, tough years, really tough years. But if I look back, really transformative years in my life. Where biggest thing I learned is never give up. Because it's very easy. I've heard people telling me that, hey, we will not pay you same salary as Singaporeans. So talk about going through the racial discrimination. In 96, 97, we are talking. So in the kind of a developed nation, right on my face. But I never, ever took any of those rejections to the heart. And in the same country, I end up developing the first vehicle location system of Asia, where we could track the fleet. In fact, Google did it in 2000, post 2000. We did that in 97. I designed the whole system. So lesson learned is just continue and do best with what opportunity presented to you. So wherever I was, and first part of my life, I was mostly working. When I came to US, I did a lot of work with IBM Global Services. I was running a Y2K project. I had no idea. I learned on the job. So only thing I can say is life is fascinating when you have curiosity. And that I have a lot. And if I give credit to one thing, all the success I have in my life is curiosity. I'm just really curious. And funny thing is, my curiosity is going up, not going down. And that keeps me, to tell you the fact, keeps me going even today.
Yeah, I mean, I can't agree more with you. So I also like to add that curiosity makes you younger, although chronologically we all get old. There's no exception there, but you can make an exception of being staying young mentally, and more curiosity you have, uh, you know, better it is in many ways, because there's so much out there. I know some of your adventures, when it comes to physical fitness, we'll come to that in a minute, but all those, and also I I like to suggest in a funny way, jovially, I tell a lot of people, try to stay shallow. More deep you go, it gets uninteresting. So just stay shallow so that at least you have something to be enthusiastic about. So with that said, right? See, a lot of guys today coming out of IIT Delhi, where you come from, or anywhere, I mean, from all parts of the world, they are in their own world at the moment, to be honest, in my humble opinion, because of academics brings a lot of pressure to follow certain framework and protocol, and subjects, and this score, that score, and yada yada. And then suddenly they come out. There are not many people are able to see things that you could see early on, like you said. Some of, like, when you went to Singapore, you faced adversity, for the lack of better term. They said that you don't get paid like the other guys. Some might take it too seriously and they just take off, go back to India. I know some of them, they did. Long story short, what I'm saying is there is a real world out there which is operates much different than academics. There's a huge gap. What do you tell these young guys to focus on while they're still in college, so that they can sort of mitigate that gap? I don't think they can eliminate the gap, at least they can mitigate the gap.
Let me answer it slightly differently, Guru. As I have grown in my life uh, personally, which is more important to me than financially, to be honest, I realize we have to find ways how to simplify our life or simplify our decision making. So after doing a lot of things, going through a lot in my life, that's for some other day, what I realize is I can summarize pretty much everything, or I can use these 3-step process to pretty much come to a decision very easily. And I call it Sanjiv 3.0 formula, but that's whatever. That's my thing. It's my internal thing. I'm not getting it patented. So life is, yeah, very simple. We make it very complex. So my 3.0 formula is choice, experience, meaning. So everything in our life can be a choice, maybe a perceived choice. Each choice gives us an experience. Now, who is giving meaning to that experience? Is us. And we can choose to give whatever meaning we want. And that's how I live my life. Doesn't matter whether it comes to work or my personal goals or anything else in my life, whether I missed a flight or whether the flight is delayed or we lost a deal, whatever. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, see, okay, so let me ask you this question, right? It may be rhetorical. So I don't know at what point in your life you were able to realize that, right? In other words, like for instance, if you learn that in 30s, mid 30s or 40s, um, in my opinion, it's a little bit late. I know we had to do what we had to do back then because we didn't have option. With the current evolution of everything, for these new kids that are coming up, sooner they realize some of these things you mentioned, whatever they can call it XYZ 3.0, right? They it can be of their own. However, what I'm trying to say is that these education institutions are not even making them aware of these things. That once you get out, regardless of what school you go to, what degree you got, when you get out, there are a set of parameters, like once you mentioned just now, they're going to dictate your life. And if you're not aware of those, and if you're not ready to face that, you could be it could take longer time for you to figure it out. That is the average case. Worst case, you can just fail. Best case, you pick it up and then go with it. And I do see a lot of guys in the business they're struggling to figure it out because they are so used to a structure for 20 years. There is a curriculum, there is a process. You do this, you get there. You do this, you get there. Otherwise, you go there. All these they just follow that, right? Here you come, and then there is no process. For instance, you went to Singapore. The guy said, "You don't get paid." So there is no process. Why am I not getting paid? And then you can't call principal and say, "Hey, this guy is saying, there is no principal. Either you in it or out." So you have to be quick on your feet. And so those things, right? My concern is that, with all due respect to all these schools, they have certain format and everything, and they're branded. People go there no matter what, and when they get out, after I invest 20 years of my life in something called education, and then somebody says this guy's too naive, he doesn't understand the world. That hurts. That's a lot of investment for somebody to say, I don't know enough about what happens. So that's where I'm at. I mean, there is one thing. Yeah, I think you got the point.
Yeah. So my take, Guru, is life is all about taking decisions. If we don't decide, if we are not decisive, we won't get anywhere. That's number one thing I learned. And that's number one thing I recommend to everybody who's listening to it. Take a decision. Doesn't matter it's right or wrong because you won't know until you take a decision. A lot of us are stuck in this mindset of we continue to analyze, analysis and paralysis. If we continue to stay on that, the growth won't happen. And that's the biggest challenge I see. Like I'll use a philosophical example from one of my favorite author, Dr. Wayne Dyer. He says, there is no straight line on round planet.
Interesting.
So in the life, there is no straight line.
Wow.
And we are always looking for a straight line.
line.
Oh, I start this, I get there. There is no straight line. So when the universe doesn't have any straight line, how can we expect that in our career and our lives? So that's number one. Number two is, and I tell that to my kids too, be patient with the future. I had no idea I'll be able to accomplish all this in my life. If I knew, my approach would be very different. If I had that realization, I would have done things slightly differently. Maybe the same circumstances in my life will happen. Maybe the same thing will happen. But the big thing would have happened is I'll be enjoying those moments. So where I'm going to is be patient with the future, but at the same time, enjoy the moment. Life is not a destination. Life is a journey. So talk about the schools and colleges and the systems. I do agree with you that our schools and colleges are not really designed to they're designed for learning. They're not designed to educate us, in my opinion. So it's very different, learning and education, right?
That's correct.
Because education is very holistic. Education is, we learn a lot from our parents, our family members, implicit and explicit learning. So the learning is very, very different. And the big thing I believe in education we miss is how to think and systematic thinking. And these
Yeah.
are two things very important. I can't stress enough, but the challenge is there can't be a coursework for that. There can't
Yeah.
be a 3-credit course for how to think. And systematic thinking, yes, because systematic problem solving, there are thousands and thousands of books written. And if listeners really care, do Google systematic problem solving, and you will find amazing, amazing content from phenomenal speakers. But remember one thing, decisiveness will trump everything in your life. Just decide. It doesn't matter what. Wrong or right, you don't know.
Yes, you don't. Yes, you'll never know. Not just you never know. I always say this: if you're at the crossroads, we always once in a while. I learned not to say that, but I used to say, or we all do. Hey, I wish I took that and then went with that. You'll never know. I mean, you'll never know. There's no point in discussing that and are thinking about it. And but that's one takeaway from what you said. The other one is that straight line one was amazing, by the way. Second thing is, I to add to what you said, I kind of mentioned that you have the thinking power. Unfortunately, it comes if you learn by doing. When you do, you make mistakes. We all make mistakes. If you don't make mistakes, that's a mistake. So if you make mistakes, then you start thinking, and then you fix it. Then that your thinking power goes up. And the last one you mentioned is it's all about education is learn how to learn. If you adapt to learning and then continuously learn, the curiosity you mentioned, the curiosity drives the learning automatically, and if you have the ability to learn with the curiosity, you can it's everything is a playground for you.
Yeah.
So these things, I can speak for myself. When I did my schooling, like you said, it's fairly static. You learn, you by heart the whole thing and put that on the paper, you get some score. I'm not kidding. I used to work very hard to forget about all that. Because whenever I think about it, I used to get nervous because maybe I've written the wrong answer. I'm going to get a low score. Why even think about it? It's too late now. Forget about it. Now, when we talk about it in the friend circle, when people bring up some physics phenomena, there's that to flaunt their knowledge. Sometimes I have no clue what they are talking about for two reasons. One is I don't remember. Second is I studied in Telugu medium. Some of the words, not all the words I know. Most of them I remember. I know what they say in English, but some of them I don't. So as a result, like whatever they're saying, I just ignore because I'm unnecessarily headache. If I had to learn, I can go to Google and figure it out. But anyway, so with that said, right? See, so the other thing which is very, very important for you to understand, in my humble opinion, again, is understand the priorities. So when I say priorities, I'm gonna list out the ones I have in mind, which you are already expert in some of them. Physical fitness. We all know, everybody knows, whole world knows that you have to be fit, you have to work hard, yada yada, but nobody does. I mean, I shouldn't say nobody does. There are folks that just don't do it because they say I have more important work because I have to attend meeting, or in a school student I have exam, which is important, but something else, blah blah, and mental fitness, and also understanding, so finance, like basics of finance, regardless of who you are, like doctor, I don't know, nurse or something, nothing to do with finance. Like, see, the way it's structured today is if you want to learn finance, you have to do MBA. That's a lot of work. I mean, you leave what you are doing and then learn MBA and come back. And now I want to learn biology. Okay, go to medicine. That takes 10 years. You will be 50 by the time you finish all degrees. So I want you to throw light on these priorities, to bring again two parts: awareness. Let's say you couldn't do it for some certain reasons. It's okay as long as you're aware of it and you know how to get back to it. So, the physical fitness and mental fitness, especially in this country, I don't know how it is in other parts of the world. And those two, at least in the beginning, and then at some point we can also talk about basics of finance.
So Guru, so my take is education is not linear, and education is everywhere, and we can learn from anyone. Honestly, I mean, I look at the homeless and I learn something from them. When I look at a car driver or a Uber driver, I learn something. So learning is everywhere. Are you curious enough to learn? So the problem what you are trying to say, in my opinion, is, do we have the learning mindset? Because what happened is, and I remember when I was in 20s, I used to think I know it all. And that was the problem, nothing else. We were all there. And that mindset is the challenge. If we change that mindset to always learning mindset, it's a game changer, whether it is finance, whether it is health, whether it is wellness, whether it is mental, all of that was available to me all the time. And it's available to everyone every single day. In fact, you know, funny thing is, all the things which has tremendous value are free, like air.
Yeah.
It's free.
Breathe.
Right?
Breathe.
It's free. And how much of us take it for granted? So the point is, learning is everywhere. As long as we have an open mindset, we are continuously looking to learn. There are ways we will learn things. It's just a game changer. So to your audience, all I can say is, be curious, constantly learn. We will never know enough. And what I think about today, I mean, after 5 decades, is every single day I get up and I think about what I have achieved, what I have accomplished, why I'm grateful, and how I'm grateful for, because what I have is unbelievable. And I'm really grateful for the universe. I'm grateful to the universe for all of the things I have in my life, including my health, my mental wellness, all of the things you talk about. But that mindset of gratitude, that mindset of learning is what continued to kept me going. And I met a lot of phenomenal people in my life and really, really good friends. And when I look at them and I say, damn, I like 70s, 80s, and they are going and not going in just one dimension, like making money, doing things, in all dimensions. And one thing I really find in common in them is mindset of learning, constantly learning. They're always asking questions, they're always asking things, they're always looking to learn from every single person they meet. Doesn't matter who.
I mean, you hit right on. I mean, I like the word you open-minded, like, so be open. And by the way, I'm
Learn.
very similar to what you said. When I go to some place, when I get in the Uber, I strike the conversation right away. And then I'm dead serious. I'm very curious to know how their lives are in those geographies, and how their day-to-day life is. To be honest, if I go to Paris, I look at the Eiffel Tower, you look up and down, you're done. I mean, what do you do after that? So, I mean, you go up. Okay, I did. I'm not kidding. When I went to Eiffel Tower, speaking of that, I spent more time at the bottom with that flash dance folks than actual tower. Because I was by myself. I was there for work. Point I'm trying to make is that you're absolutely right that having that open-mindedness, as you conversate with different people with different walks of life, you catch those pointers. For instance, I'm going to ask some of these. For instance, like, you know, I knew as a kid, you do, kasrat, right, back home, khub khao, kasrat karo, all that. So, but I really didn't know, because my metabolism was very high, obviously, and I guess I felt very fit, and because I was very young, and I thought it's waste of time doing all these things. Why? How does it matter? Because if I run, I run anyways. I can run if I practice running. How is that going to help me? I didn't know what I didn't know. Same with diet. I had no clue that if I eat certain diet, sugars, carbs, this, that, how over a period of time they can impact someone. I mean, knock on the wood, I'm okay as of now, but maybe I realized relatively quickly. But a lot of our friends, when we talk about this, that people run into some situation, boom. Oh, by the way, let me sign up with the gym. Okay, I got to go and few weights. So, you are into biking, right? For instance, you did 100 kilometers in Norway, if I'm right. Biking, I mean, that's pretty extreme, when it comes to biking, I guess. So whether it's running, biking, weights, whatever it is, right? Can you talk a little bit more about how that helped your day-to-day life, whether it's work or your personal things, or if you did versus didn't, how it changed your life so that some listener can follow this and pick up something and do, like, at least push-ups or whatever, right? There are so many folks, they don't do anything, with all due respect. And my take is that, when I was in school, if I didn't get 35 marks in math, I considered failure and I have to repeat the whole year.
Yeah.
But no teacher ever asked me, hey, did you do push-ups today? Okay, you didn't. Okay, you're failed. Nobody said that. And I was okay. Luckily, I turned out to be okay, I guess. But we all know a lot of people paying price as we speak, for lack of physical activity or bad diet and whatnot, and probably they're fairly successful in other things. And now, like you said, the balance is gone. So I want you to talk more about how potentially these physical activities, doing these things, not just a waste of time. It's not you're just doing it out of out of what is it, hobby. It also helps you in your day-to-day life.
So I think let's talk about the most fundamental thing. The fundamental thing is mind-body connection. Our body, you and me both know, on a serious note, is everything in our body is connected. Every single cell in our body is connected, and every single cell is vibrating. It's a fact, right? Because nothing is solid. Everything is fluid, or these particles are connected with the energy. That's a proven science. So now, and it all have to function in a fashion it is designed for. So that's the science behind it. And I'm a student of science. My journey of wellness, really 5 years old. I lived in Silicon Valley for almost 16 plus years. I rarely hiked. I didn't even enjoy the Silicon Valley at that time, and which I kind of regret because it's such an amazing place. It just a paradise for real. But so is Las Vegas. And when I moved here, this journey really started more as an inquiry and curiosity. Somebody introduced me to something, and I said, that's interesting, that's crazy. And just being curiosity, I started doing some of those activities. And I was not doing these activities to do weight loss or doing anything, just doing these activities because I was curious what happened, how you feel. And when I started doing more and more and more, I realized it releases certain chemicals in our brain, of course, and in our body. And what it does to me is, today our life is all centered around brain, how our brain function, how quickly we act, how quickly can we connect the dots in our brain and where the connections aren't there. That's why we say this guy's IQ level is very high, this guy's IQ level is lower, and all of that. It's really where it is happening. These are the connections our brain form. What I find it is by being physically more active, I am able to process information faster. And when I can process information faster, my decision making has improved. I'm able to see the blind side, like challenges very easily. I will not say easily, but it's much better. My creative brain, that's another big one because we always talk about creative and analytical brain. So creative brain, I feel it has improved. So I can think more creatively. And honestly, I get my best ideas while I'm hiking, which is fascinating. And
Yes.
so I said, wow, I mean, I had no idea and why I haven't done it in my past life, because I always used to think, oh, it's going to take 2 hours of my time, 4 hours of time, a day of my time. So that's number one thing happens, like from the work wise and the business wise and all the activities I do. Number two is side effect of it. I find joys in doing things because you and me both know joy is, again, it's a chemical release in our body, right? In our brain. When you do any of these activity, it releases more chemical and more chemical. And, it's fascinating how our body reward us with that. And that thing is just unbelievable. Like I was
Yeah.
talking to our friend who runs a lot of marathons and half marathon. He says there is a term called runner's high. It's exactly that. And people go after all these different drugs, medicine, and all of that. Our body has everything.
Yep.
Let's leverage it. Let's use it. God has given us that. Universe has given us that.
Absolutely.
And let's just go and make it count. So I find when I do these activities, it gives me more joy. So everything else to me is secondary. It gives me real joy. And that's honestly, I crave for it now.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't buy that.
No,
You can't buy that. You can't
there
get
is
it
no pill for
anywhere.
that. You
There's no
have
pill
to
for that.
you have to
That
go.
pill will just take you there. So, thing I like to add to what you said, which you may not notice about you, is it's very appealing to the others. You are very vibrant. When we if someone meet, I meet. Like I speak for myself. When I meet, I like to approach you. I like to talk to you because you show that you give that appeal, that vibrant appeal, and you're open minded, and you want to have conversation. You're open to it. Hey, let's go and then have a drink, or let's go and do this. You're open to it. That itself is like, yeah, I guess the point you're making, which is curiosity. And then if once you augment with your fitness, I mean that's like curiosity on steroids, I guess. So I mean, that is a nice segue into my next point, which I want to touch upon because you've been around and you did a lot of things. So coming back to the priorities, fitness is one thing, and finance, obviously, and also understanding the social systems, out there, like how because your education system is one of them, right? It's set out in a certain way, and some people succeed, some people don't. And if you don't, you are treated in a certain way. If you do, you are treated in a certain way. Obviously, you're treated well if you do well. And but there are a lot of people who didn't do very well in education system. They came out and they're doing excellent job, right? And vice versa. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is that, again, when you get caught up in these school systems and don't pay attention to some of these things, then you can be late in the game. So I want you to address for instance, you become an entrepreneur, right? If some kid sitting there in high school or college and say, I want to run a business. I want to be next start or whatever. What's your suggestion and how they go about doing it now than waiting until, when you had a chance to do it? You know what I mean? You might have lost few years of your life, I'm assuming, doing other things, which are useful. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying completely waste. Uh, but I know at least some of the friends, I wish I started this years ago because I just wasted my time somewhere else. So what's how you want to, suggest these guys, how they can put together these things to become what they want to be, which is entrepreneur in this case.
See, Guru, I may have a very different take on it. Because that I will just change the question slightly, if that's okay with you. I'll change it to a reflection for me personally. I'm going to share what I know. I'm going to share what I learned over the years. So in my mind, and people have asked me this question several times, my team here, my kids, what will you change? And I have done a lot of thinking about this question. What will I change in my life? And honestly, my life won't be same if I change anything. So the concept of time and waste, I think it's a wrong way to look at things. That's number one point I would like to make. Because time is related to the experience we are having, whatever we are doing. I'm an accidental entrepreneur. I never planned to start my company. I never thought I will be doing all the things I'm doing. I'll be very honest with you. And I have no regret that I haven't started my company earlier. And the series of steps I've gone through or misstep I've gone through. Because nothing is linear in our life. So wherever you are, whatever they are doing, whatever you are doing, my take is do your best.
Yeah.
Give your best. The problem I find it is, I look at my team, I look at even my kids and family members and close friends. Are we giving our best in whatever we are doing at that time, whether it is playing at that time, whether watching TV, having this conversation? Are we fully present? And the minute our mindset is being fully present, then time become really immaterial.
Yeah.
And it become infinite. And I'll give you interesting example. 7-8 years ago, one of my friend came from India and he runs a huge company and he has almost like 30,000-40,000 employees, big. And he came here and we were traveling, and for a week, we said, okay, we are going to do the road trip. And Royce's is not 40,000 people. We are still big, but not that big. And for 3 days, he didn't even call once. And I'm scratching my head and I say, hey, everything is fine? Everything is great. Oh yeah, everything is cool, is great. Yeah, there is a strike in one of my factory. There is this and going on. And I'm just saying is, how can you be so relaxed and not even contacting your team? And I'm in my head, I don't have time. I don't have time. So he said, Sanjiv, I'm going to give you a mantra. I say, okay. He says, just start saying every day you have a lot of time. And Guru, I tell you, from that day onwards, my life has changed. I took that mantra that I have a lot of time. I have a lot of time. Has changed everything. Because now time is not even a factor in my decision making. And I am finding that because I'm not concerned about time, I'm not concerned about missing the time, I'm doing things with my all in. The outcome has changed. My decision making has improved. I'm able to do things fast, better, faster, and I'm more focused on things, which automatically gives me joy because I am constantly seeking joy. So take the time out of all of that. You're not losing time. Wherever you are, whatever you are, wherever you are in your life, it's part of that learning experience. Just take that, give your all in. That's all I'll say. So I
Fantastic,
gave you a
Sanjiv.
longer
No,
answer.
no, 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 no. This is the perfect answer. Even as we speak, I'm learning. As we speak, I mean, I know exactly what you're saying. I know. Basically, I always, we all do, and time pressure, right? That's the thing. The moment you have a deadline in your mind,
Yeah.
and you think that you're behind someone else, many times as a young fellow, because somebody did much faster than you or otherwise, or if you're once you have a time pressure, then you tend to lose the creativity and you hurry up and just meet that deadline. I hear you, and I mean, I know how that feels. And by the way, for us, we have no choice but do it, thinking that way, because we don't. Well, we are not in 20s. That's what I'm trying to say. So chronologically, I'm not in 20s, but mentally, I am in 20s. Just so you know, I mean, I never went past that. I think, at least, I like to think it that way. If they others think differently, that's their problem. So. This is fantastic decision. I'm not making it up, and it's great. And I know that the way the other gentleman dealt with that is just super cool. I mean, just chill and say, okay, company on strike. Okay, I'll talk to you after I get back. So with that, I mean, there's a lot of content. I sincerely hope people listen to it carefully and learn from you. I'm going to ask, wind up this with a fun question. So let's say, you're a tech guy and you're in AI now and everything, right? So what is the one thing that you think you had it or you wish you had it? Like, some technology, some gadget or something that makes your life easier day to day.
So, Guru, I really, really wish in my life I had comprehension and understanding of the concept of curiosity.
Yeah.
I didn't have that in early parts of my life, I will say. I was pretty good a student, I was curious, but I didn't have that as a formula or I have that as a approach. And that's the reason I started our conversation with curiosity. And I felt curiosity keeps you going. Curiosity helps you make better friends. Curiosity helps you put in the right environment. Curiosity creates better value of your time because in the end, we are also looking for ROI. What is the ROI? And ROI, the only currency humans have is the time. We have no other currency other than time because that's the only currency we are depleting. It's just we know that we are losing every single day. So, point is, curiosity kept that going. It's like a bank balance. You continue to add more and more and more and more, in my opinion. Of course, you have to be careful. You don't want to do things which like she shouldn't be doing. I mean, we all have heard different phrases around it. But if I were, if I understand that concept early part of my life, I believe I would have learned more things. Like
Yeah.
I'm a pretty shitty golfer. I would have learned really good golf. I really want to. That's one thing I still is stuck in my head. And second thing is I always wanted to learn flying. Same thing. I couldn't do that for several reasons, and I still can do it. But the point is that curiosity is just amazing. It keeps
Yeah.
us going.
No, I think the whole podcast, this episode is, I would, if I have to rename it, curiosity Einstein. I think maybe you are 100% right that if we have every ankit is taught, to be aware of this. At least if they're not curious, become one. If you're curious, you're on the right path. um, I think that solves most of the problems we were talking about early on. Like, once you're curious, you run into fitness, you run into conditioning, and you run into finance, you run into all the life skills, I call it, and you learn on your own. Once you're curious, you do identify those, you learn them, you understand how to learn, you learn how to learn basically. Once that happens, it just smooth, I mean, relatively smooth sailing for rest of your life. Because if today Gen AI, tomorrow blah blah AI, I mean, God knows whatever it is going to show up. And as long as you are well trained to take this on and adapt to your life, you are in tremendous shape to deal with everything that throws at you. So with that, I really want to thank you. And also I know we missed last time. Please visit us next time when you come to Bay Area. I know we were supposed to play pickleball and everything. We will, it's still on. And just give us time. And if not Saturday, any day is okay. If it is Saturday morning, otherwise evenings are good. And we'll do another one. And hopefully, I know you are into a lot of businesses. I would like to do one on just maybe just talking about businesses very soon. And yeah, I really, really, really appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you so much, Guru. It was so much fun, and it's great to chat with you. And it's just fantastic. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.